And the All Blacks have unfortunately been handed their third defeat of the year and the first on the Northern Tour. First Grand Slam attempt since 2010 will go as a dud, and probably the first Grand Slam we haven't actually completed in a long time. The All Blacks going down at Twickenham to England, 19 points to 33. Strong start, completely undermined by a shocking second half. There was a rough yellow card, but obviously that's never the reason why a team loses a game. We're not going to try and bring that up as a reason.
Especially not this game.
And we're definitely not going to try and show that as a reason as to why we lost when we've been complaining about opposition fans doing exactly that the entirety of the year and for other previous years. The All Blacks just did not fire in that second half.
Nah, man.
You watched the game
live.
Classic
story, though, of this last, really couple of years, but especially this year.
Yeah, it feels especially that a lot of the problems that were obviously highlighted last year and possibly even highlighted in the Foster era haven't been completely stamped out or sorted. Problems with discipline, problems with the basics. But now we see more and more like tactical specific problems unraveling with the All Blacks, which never is really something that I remember talking about back when we were in a better when we had our golden generation, and even that cycle afterwards into 2019. We weren't worried about how we were under the high ball, and we weren't worried about our scrum against South Africa, and we weren't worried. Well, would be, but not to the extent now. It's just something which needs to be fixed. But obviously,
it's basics, man.
It's basics at the end of the day.
That is what it is. It is like now there might be some internal things going on. I personally aren't gonna. I'm not gonna comment on those specifically. I'm talking like actually like the board stuff like that. I'm not gonna comment on those because I don't really know. I will talk about something that I guess you would call internal, but this isn't. It's on the field. Basics, man. It's like now I woke up for this game because I wake up early on a Sunday morning to go to work anyway. So I'm like, fuck it, who cares? I'll wake up for these games.
Fair enough.
So we're up 12-11 at halftime, and honestly, you could argue it could have been. Let me do my maths. 26 for us. We squandered opportunities again, and I should have known what was going to happen in the second half when we were doing that. Second half, actually, I'm gonna because I know the Northern Hemisphere love to overhype their teams.
Oh yeah.
But can I just say, in this game specifically, must shout out George Ford. Excellent game at 10 for them.
I believe George Ford has probably been the one English 10 whenever he's actually played against us. It's been a worry because I believe he started at 10 in that 2019 semi-final. When we played them at Twickenham, the time we drew.
Did he start at 10 or Owen Farrell?
No, Owen Farrell would have started at 12.
I might have to double check
I'm pretty sure George Ford was in that game.
George Ford played excellent game.
A bit of an unsung hero because when you think of English teams, like a lot of people still think of Owen Farrell, even though he's played a lot of inside centre. And then nowadays, people are immediately going to talk about Marcus Smith or Finn Smith. And they're not going to talk about George Ford.
But there's a reason George Ford's starting at 10. Consistent. He's the one thing that the All Blacks have not been able to find this year. Consistent. He is the same every time. He knows what he brings. He does it. And, he can run a team that way. And also, he's not the guy that's going to go out and talk about it. Do you know what I mean? So,
no, not at all.
Yeah, George Ford, excellent game. Fair play to you, mate, if you watch this. Who else? Maro Itoje is world-class. Has always been world-class. I love the way that guy plays lock. He was awesome. I'm just trying to think of some other English guys. Ollie Lawrence at centre at 13 was fantastic as well. So England deservedly win this game.
I don't think anyone from New Zealand is trying to claim this wasn't a deserved
I hope
win
we
for
don't.
England.
I really hope
wasn't,
we don't.
And a lot of people obviously saying, no, this wasn't the case of we were screwed over by something other than the other team being better than us. Because it wouldn't be the first time this year we've lost to a team who've been better than us. In fact, every single loss we've had this season has been to a team who played better than us. When we lost to Argentina, when we lost to South Africa, and now when we lost to England. Obviously, if you had to tell me we're going to lose to 3 teams this year, that would probably be those 3 teams I'd be more than happy to lose to in the grand scheme
England
of things.
are hot at the moment
England
as well.
are very hot.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to see if that continues into the Six Nations.
I'm not exactly sure it does.
But I think they probably have a very good chance at winning, because if you look at every other team in the Six Nations, Scotland are always just in that area where you don't exactly know what's going to go on.
Yeah.
They can never finish the job. Ireland are still on paper a very good team, but they're aging, and if they have the right players coming through in the right positions, that's for the Irish fans to tell us.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in, it's not great.
Yeah.
Wales, we don't really need to say anything about Wales because they are probably the worst team in the Six Nations right now. France have the talent and the depth for days, but seemingly are just so volatile with everything. Is them essentially missing an entire international break for their best players a reason for that? Who knows? We're not going to debate that.
No.
We already talked about
today.
that too much earlier in the year. I mean, Italy are not quite there. They're probably better than Wales.
They have improved, though.
Near Scotland, obviously they lost, but they beat Australia. We'll talk about it later. They did lose to South Africa. But South Africa had 14 men, which seems to be the new cheat code for them. So I think it's actually the best opportunity for England, because if they play like how they played against New Zealand and all the other games, I think they will get past Ireland, and I think they'll get past France just because they're more structured and cohesive in France. Maybe I don't think you'd say they've been in a bit of a weird place since Dupont's been injured, and he'll be back soon. But you could argue that's probably the case. It was the case for the All Blacks when we missed Roygaard for a lot of this year, and even in this game, from what I read, we missed him when he came off.
So he went off early second half. I think it was, can I be honest with you? I think it might have been a high ankle sprain. Which would mean he's out for Wales and out for the rest of the year, but they only got one game left. But let's move on anyway to talk about the All Blacks themselves, since we are on the local sport. I'll say my piece first, and hopefully you can, I'm absolutely sure
I'll
you can
find a way to
off.
interject.
I would talk about the positives first.
Right.
Quinn Tupaia actually showed he can throw. We have another centre outside of Geordie Barrett that can throw the ball out wide.
That's very ideal.
That is very ideal for us.
Him and Geordie going forward, I think. You'd have to say is probably the combination.
I don't. I know people want Leicester to start at 13. I don't think Leicester's. I think Leicester's a great 23. I don't think he's shown it yet to be good enough to, start over Tupaia, who's in form right now.
Yeah, it's the distribution and the defense, I think, in the centres you've got to really pay attention to.
So that's why that's another reason why Geordie Barrett and Quinn Tupaia, I think, are a better pairing. I thought Quinn Tupaia and Leicester, especially Leicester, would be better defensively. They have not been. But Quinn Tupaia can throw a ball out to the wing. Happy with that. I hope that carries on, because in the Scotland game that did not happen. Who else was there in terms of positives?
I mean, Cam Roygaard, obviously.
Cam Roygaard was great.
Standard.
It's really hard to think of positives when you were so.
And I don't think you're supposed to. You're not always supposed to find positives in a loss. I think we're just so used to trying to put on a fucking face and go, it's not as bad as it looks.
Let's throw this face off then. Let's get into it. Beauden Barrett looked tired as fuck.
I mean, let's...
there's
some context here, though, because...
He had a shocker. And we love Beauden Barrett.
We do. I love Beauden.
And I still think this year he was the starting team.
But
he had a shocker in this
one. We would have had probably the same general reign of results if Damien McKenzie was starting at 10. Because Beauden would have been coming off the bench. I think Damien's better coming off the bench than Beauden is, but Beauden is better starting at 10 than Damien is.
Yes.
And a lot of people
in general,
Beauden Barrett's got to go. And I'm like,
stop it.
I don't think you can get him away, but I do think we kind of do need just...
You said this to me as well. You're like you, and I'm going to talk about this at some point as well. Because I think it's the first game this year where I actually thought about this. But not this point. But you did message me and say, man, we should just bring in a young 10 and just see what the fuck is going to happen.
Yeah, I think we just because that's what South Africa first did with Sasha. I'm pretty sure he first only really played against us in South Africa last year, and us in South Africa is
I think Sasha did a little bit better than the young 10s that we've got, though.
No, but even at the same time,
domestically.
But even in domestically, I had not heard that much about him.
I guess,
I guess, in my opinion, it wouldn't have been if we gave Ruben Love a start at 10 against France this year, that would have been a more probably like a more appropriate
Even if we
thing.
started him at... did we ever start him at fullback?
I don't think he started for the All Blacks.
Yeah,
apart from maybe against Fiji or
started
Japan.
because I think that's where his more natural position is.
Yeah,
but like you get my point.
But he's played 10 for the Hurricanes. They see him as a potential 10, and if you don't want to give Josh Jacob a chance, then give Ruben Love a chance. Because I think we can't just rely on 2 10s.
And can I just say, Josh Jacob, and this is even when Moanga comes back, by the way.
Yeah,
I would agree with this. But I actually think Josh Jacobs actually played quite well for the All Blacks 15 as well. Rivers Rayhana started this last one.
Yes.
Maybe if he has another season like he did the Crusaders,
I think
we'll see what happens.
I think Rayhana and Jacob, it's a shame.
Yeah.
I know exactly what NZ Rugby, what the coaches are doing. They don't want to bleed in a young 10 because they know Richie's coming back.
Yeah.
If they bleed in a young 10, they're not going to play for when Richie comes back, which I think he's going to come back before October, which is his official return date.
Yeah,
for the All Blacks. I think he'll come back before then, so there's no point bleeding in a young 10. And they think Richie's going to fix the problems. I'm just worried if Richie comes in and it doesn't fix anything.
It's not. I think it's going to fix little, may fix
there's
little
still
things.
issues. I'm like, well,
there's going to be issues though.
If we had, when you realise that Damien and Bowden were prone to not being consistent at 10,
yes,
in both 2024 and 2025, maybe you should have actually started another 10 in a game where it would make sense. If there were heaps of games where it would make sense. There would have been rugby championship games this year and last year. I forgot who we played last year at home before the rugby championship, but games then and games against France now.
We played England last year in Steinlager series.
We did play England.
Yeah.
And then there would have been games on the Northern Tour last year. We could have, we probably did, but probably only against Japan because that's the only team, and Fiji, the only teams we actually seem to experiment against.
Yes.
But we should have been doing that. So Richie coming back would have also been a good thing.
It's a balance, right? It's a balance.
There's no balance. There's no long term.
I know
balance.
I know there's not now, but
because we're going to go into 2027 probably with Richie, Bowden, and Damien in the wider squad.
Yeah,
and I'm probably going to guess from right now, Richie's probably starting with Damien at 23 unless something drastic happens.
Yes.
Like he's not up to scratch or any of that jazz.
Yep.
2028, there will be no Bowden, there will be no Damien, and there will be no Richie.
Yeah, exactly. Those three will be gone.
So what's the fucking point of sticking with 3 guys for a whole cycle, essentially? 2 guys, then 3 when one decides to come back, which I don't blame him for taking his time because the yen is the yen. I'm not gonna bet an eye at someone for taking one of those contracts to for why you take those contracts. But for NZ Rugby, you're just shooting yourself in the foot come 2028. And then it's going to be a whole World Cup cycle going into 2031 where we're trying to build up our 10s. And there's probably someone there who's more than capable to be the starting 10 in 2031.
Yeah.
But they should probably be identified and in the squad now. Now, is it Ruben Love? Could be. Is he playing? No. Should he be playing?
Maybe.
I think it's more or less. Yes, he should be fucking playing. Even if it's a 15. He just needs game time. You know, but game time at 10 would be great. I think we need to look at Jacob and we need to look at Rihanna as well. And I think we also really look, why the hell did we let Harry Plummer walk to Clermont? Harry Plummer should have been someone we kept the thing. Maybe they thought Stephen Perifetta was going to have a good season this year. Unfortunately, he was injured the whole time.
Yeah, but he's been injury prone. I hate saying
he's been very injury prone
for the last few years.
They still mention him as like someone who's been out with injury and whatnot and isn't been included in the All Blacks for that reason. But I don't. Is he really that high up the depth chart? I guess maybe he's the 3rd 10 in New Zealand right now, behind Bowden and Damien.
But that's also crazy.
But that's crazy because he's played 3 games of Super.
Exactly.
I think only played 1 game starting at 10 this year. Yep. I don't even know if he was starting at 10 for Taranaki this year. No, Josh Jacob would have been starting at 10.
For Taranaki, yeah.
No, because didn't Stephen move up to Auckland?
Yeah, he did.
But he wasn't playing at 10 for Auckland. You had Rico Simpson and Peyton Spencer running the show.
Auckland went really young.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say,
and the results showed that.
Yeah, the results did show that.
So I'm looking and Stephen's not going to start ahead of Bowden next season in Super Rugby. He'd start at 15, but then you've got San Sullivan at 15, you've got Corey Evans at 15, you've got Peyton Spencer who might actually have a run in Super Rugby next year, and then you also have Rico Simpson at 10 in the Blues. I don't know if he'll get much game time personally. So I think Stephen's going to be coming off the bench for a lot of Super Rugby unless they give Bowden a bit of a rest. Out of all the Barrett brothers, Bowden having a sabbatical next year where he's not playing would probably be a good idea.
Would make sense, yeah.
And I wouldn't be totally against if we have a fit Stephen Perifetta playing for the Blues. Getting off track here because it would put him in contention to actually play for the All Blacks
And
actually
those an
be an option, because he's not super young. He's only a couple of years younger than Damien, but it's another option between the three.
Yeah.
But I think we need to look at Jacob and Rihanna as well.
And this is it's going to be my wider point. I just want to talk a little bit more about the game itself. That second half, Razor got out fucking coached.
And I think we're realizing now that there can be a prodigal coach in Super Rugby, and there always is.
Yeah.
But international rugby is completely different.
And you know what's funny? I was talking to my dad. Hi, Dad. But I'm just going to search up these guys. Like that international experience is fucking huge.
Yeah, and
when it comes to it. So I did my research, aka Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And I went through. So you've got Jamie Joseph now, who's the All Blacks 15 coach,
which I think that means he will be involved with the All Blacks next year.
Yeah. So I said to Dad, I was like, let's go through his coaching career. So he was an assistant coach in Wellington from 2003 to 7, Māori All Blacks coach 2006, coached Wellington 2007 to 10, coached the Māori All Blacks again 2010 to 12, coached the Highlanders from 2010 to 2016 when they won the title.
Yep.
Coached the Barbarians in 2015. Then went coached Japan and did very well from 2016 to 2023.
Was the perfect man to take over Eddie Jones.
Yeah. And then coached the Sunwolves as well, 2017 to 18. Is coaching the Highlanders now and coached the All Blacks 15. That's a path that a normal All Blacks head coach would go on.
And it's a path where you're testing yourself on multiple environments, and you're not lucking into a certain place. And I think what we've seen with Razor is that, yes, he's a talented coach. Yes, he brought that Crusaders team a whole lot of success.
Yeah.
But how much of that was pure coaching and pure the amount of talent he had available to him?
And this is and then I brought up another name as well to Dad. I see, if the Blues have another, great couple of seasons, so I put Vern Cotter up there.
And Vern's been everywhere.
Yeah, and I've got here, Vern coached Bay of Plenty from 2000 to 2004. He was the Crusaders forward coach from 2005 to 6. Coached in France at Clermont from 2006 to 14. Scotland, he coached 2014 to 17. Barbarians 2017, Montpellier 2017 to 2019, Fiji fantastically from 2020 to 2023, and in his first season at the Blues wins the title.
Exactly.
Like those are the guys we need coaching. Tony Brown has gone out and now coaching in South Africa. John Schmidt has gone international and actually starting to bring Australia back a little bit. So I understand that sometimes you got to go off the beaten path. But you need that international experience.
The thing, he has had a little bit of international experience, but nothing. I actually didn't know about this. So he was assistant at Canterbury for a very long time.
Yes.
Coached them for a couple of years in the Mitre 10 Cup. In between that, at one stage, was the manager, the coach of Brazil.
Fair enough.
Never realised that.
Yeah.
Was U20 coach for New Zealand for a bit, and then he went to the Crusaders. So obviously, did he win anything with the U20s?
But that's nowhere near the international experience of Joseph and
no, not at all.
And Vern Cotter.
There's 3 seasons of MPC in there as a head coach.
Yes.
Before going to Super Rugby, where I think we're looking at it, he may have had a super team at his disposal. Which
fair.
I think he probably did. He had Richie Mwanga, and I think it's very easy to get the best out of Richie Mwanga.
Yeah.
And then you would have had a whole bunch of other players around him, and I mean the team which won all those titles in a row was more or less the same team for most of the time.
Yeah, you could argue that.
Just
I mean, even you could argue that even now with Rob Penny coaching them.
Yep.
The only difference might be young guys like Leah Willie.
I just think that 2024 was a bit of a blip in terms of their performance, and I don't know if that was because Razor left.
I think it was injury.
I think it was very injury ravaged, and possibly just teams sometimes have a down year.
You had Will Jordan out the entire year. You had Scott Barrett out the majority of the year.
It's just something that happens, and the coaching can't fix it. Yeah, because look at Rob Penny. Wins the title with probably the exact same team the next year.
Exactly. So he's proving. I guess unfortunately for him, he's proving that point. But I'm just going to make my point now. My big point that I wanted to make. This was, and I questioned these since the start. But this first game is where I really question what the hell is New Zealand rugby, Razor, who I know will of course have influence in this, when it comes to the selections of the squad in general? Because what like you said before, you've got to select guys who you actually trust to play.
Yeah.
And you you trust in a guy to play that just came back from France. With Leicester, and this is my point. And we made this, we made these points with our selections.
I trust Leicester, though, because if I could select someone who's played in the French league recently, I will, because the French league is.
Oh no, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been selected. No. But what I'm trying to make the point of, you selected all these centres, barely played any of them.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Tafanawai injured, yes, but you barely played any of them. You selected Kirifi, who you played for a couple of games off the bench and then have barely played since.
He only really stopped playing at the tail end of the championship, I think.
Yeah. You what's it called? You selected Samapini Finau to what? And then, another thing we're also missing is, we have a very young forward pack.
Yes.
I think those guys, will become those leaders as they get older and stuff like that. We are definitely missing that. But I'm looking at these selections going, why the frick are you selecting these guys if you're not even going to trust them to frickin' play?
Well, I think the thing is, and this is what annoys me, that they've not done it with 210s, but they've clearly done a lot of rotation and a lot of other positions. Like, they've gone for a lot of players
actually,
at 7,
yes.
6, and 8. Like, Kirifi, they gave him a decent run off the bench, and then he started. Unfortunately, I think Kirifi's issue is that you have Adi Savia at 7 as well.
Yeah, fair.
And I think we've realised that, yes, Adi Savia is still an international 7, and he should be playing at 7 internationally. And unfortunately for Kirifi, he, only plays open side, and can't really, if he's coming off the bench, then you have to make sure every other player who's starting can cover other positions. Where if you're starting Simon Parker or Peter Lakai or Wallace Atiti, you've got that. But I think if you're picking players, I think more importantly, players like Ruben Love, and you're not playing them, then what's the point?
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of these backline selections as especially.
Oh, and I think Rieko Ioane was given up on a little
way too early.
And also,
because you keep trying to play him on the wing, you stupid fool.
And also, why are you calling up Severisa not playing him?
This and you made this point to me off camera, not today. You messaged me.
Yeah.
I don't, and this is where my problem was with selecting Kirifi in the first place.
Yeah.
Although,
I would select Kirifi though based on form and the other players available.
But this is what I'm saying. I don't think we can base all our players off of Super Rugby form anymore.
Exactly. I don't think we can, but I think if a player plays really well in Super Rugby, absolutely give them a shot on the All Blacks.
Yes.
Because it's the highest level they're going to play it before the All Blacks, typically.
Fair.
But also, we need to be looking from just a non-pure form perspective. Like, we need to be looking at guys who we can see they've got the intangibles and the right skills for international rugby, but they might not be shown in Super Rugby because they play in a team which doesn't allow for them to show those skills, or it's just a shit team in general.
And this is
where the Blues players get fucked over.
Yes, yeah. Especially, I actually think, if we're just talking about the Blues themselves, I actually think the Blues played a way more balanced game in 2024 than they did this past year, although they did get past the Chiefs and get to the semis.
Yeah.
I'd like them to play a little more balanced game as this year goes on. But you're right. But this is where I'm saying with squad selection, I'm saying I think you've got to look at yourselves at the end of this year and being like, are we actually selecting the right players? And I think in terms of forwards, majority of the time this year, I actually think you've selected them very well.
Yeah, I think
what the hell are you doing in that back line?
And the back line just seems all over the place. And it's like, and also on top of that, don't select so many from the same place, because I think that's an issue we're starting to see. If you try to just base your whole squad around the core from one Super Rugby team, it's not going to work.
You're selecting all these Chiefs players, mate.
When we won the World Cup in 2011 and 2015, were those teams completely Crusaders dominant?
No.
Not really. Yes, you had Richie McCaw. Yes, you had Dan Carter. But in other positions, other key positions, you had...
Tony Woodcock, Blues.
Yeah, you had Kevin Mialamu.
Blues.
Dan Coles.
Hurricanes?
Hurricanes,
yeah.
Brody Retallick.
Chiefs.
You did have Sam Whitelock, and you did have Kieran Reid, sure, but Jerome Kano.
Blues.
And then you had Aaron Smith.
Highlanders.
Piti Wepu.
Blues / Hurricanes, but Blues.
Ma'anonu. A lot of teams, but not the Crusaders.
Hurricanes.
Conrad Smith.
Hurricanes.
Corey Jane.
Hurricanes.
Richard Kahui.
Was Chiefs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nehemiah Scudder.
Was frickin' Hurricanes.
Ben Smith.
Highlanders.
Sonny Will Williams.
Went around a lot of teams, but I think it was
Crusaders the first time, but Chiefs the second time.
Chiefs the second, yeah.
That's
Ended
not
up playing for the Blues at one
like
point
maybe
as well.
at the front row you had quite because you had the Franks brothers and
Wyatt Crockett.
Wyatt Crockett, Cody Taylor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not now where you look at a team and you're like, you could see Tamaiti Williams starting with Cody Taylor and Fletcher Newell.
Yeah.
And Scott Barrett.
Yeah.
The Lucy's surprisingly no Crusaders really there.
Yeah.
At all. But then you get to the rest of the team. It's still like they only recently stopped persisting with Severeese. You have Will Jordan. Honestly, it's not too bad, but it's just a whole squad.
Yeah,
it's just all one. And like I thought we were going in the right direction when we weren't calling up guys like David Haverley and whatnot. Although now I'm kind of thinking maybe we should have called up David Haverley. Maybe
I hope I'm glad he's played this way. I hope Dalton's making them regret the frickin' hell out of not selecting him.
I think there's a lot of players on a lot of teams who would feel very hard done by based on other players getting in. I think almost every single winger in New Zealand who scored just as many tries as Severeese in Super Rugby or showed any sort of promise. So I'm looking at guys like Caleb Tangito, who was injury prone. Leroy Carter was the one who he to be fair, Leroy Carter did get the chance.
Yeah, and he's playing every game now.
He's playing. And should he be the long-term starting on right wing? I think the scam against England is probably suggesting not.
Maybe
but he's
not.
a very handy player to have.
Yes.
But Caleb Clark had to go through a shit ton just to rightfully say, I should be the starting left wing.
And he's the best winger we've got.
If he was starting against England, maybe the result would have gone maybe just a little bit differently in some ways. I'm not saying we'd win the game with him.
No.
But the high ball that he'd have would be very beneficial, which we don't really have anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I think we...
and also it would have been able to probably combat Roebuck, who was playing 14, because in the air... Man, Roebuck took Leicester to school.
There needs to be another... you almost need two wingers who can do the high ball these days.
Yes, absolutely.
And your fullback who can do the high ball.
Absolutely.
Like Will Jordan, he's just had an off season. We'll have to see next year what goes on with him. And if it isn't going good, then maybe we look at someone else than Will Jordan, which sounds ridiculous to say.
But I think you have to, with the couple of last seasons we've had, I think you have to look at some different alternatives.
Yeah, and to be fair... Maybe more of an issue is the persisting of Will Jordan than Bowden and Damien at 10. If he clearly hasn't been at his top this season, why don't we give anyone else a starting role at fullback apart from Damien McKenzie? There'd be other fullbacks.
Very interesting.
Other fullbacks could have gotten the role. You have JRK at the Highlanders.
Yep.
You have who else started at 15 for the 15 team? You could have given Shafi Haki a run out.
Yes.
I know he's a Crusaders player, but I'm not saying not select Crusaders players.
Yeah.
I'm saying balance the fucking squad selection out.
I'm actually, you know what I'm saying? I'm actually saying select the frickin' best players you can find for the model of that you actually need.
But you need for international rugby guys good under the high ball, guys who can kick well, guys who are going to be able to hang with the best. I think we're going to see Jacob Ratu-Maitavuki Nickbins in the All Blacks soon.
Look at you with the pronunciation, mate.
Don't glaze me, mate. I'm even thinking, and this is a bit of a rogue one, like you could, if he's actually starting at 15 for the Chiefs next year, Etienne Naisaturo could maybe have a season, because I think he'd be very good.
He'd need to have a pretty good season, but yes.
If he's starting at 15 and Damien's starting at 10 for the Chiefs next year, because apart from that, who's starting at 15 for the Chiefs if it's not Damien?
Sure, good point.
And I've talked to you about that because I don't think it'll be KT, who's someone who I think we immediately need to call up when he's eligible next year, which will be on the Northern Tour, based on if the Super Rugby form's good.
Yeah.
I want Macca Springer to keep on getting games.
Big
I know
facts.
he's a guy who doesn't really like going in the contact, and he needs to sort that out if he wants to be a rugby player.
Yes.
Fair. But I think selection-wise, we just need to make sure we're not selecting duds. Like maybe with, I'm not going to say duds, like, Why are we selecting Fino if he's not going to play? Yes, he's been injured, but select someone else.
And,
Select Leo Willie.
And he has had personal family things going on, and we're not going to.
And we can't criticize that.
But this is what I'm saying, that like with the point of selections, like you've got like, are the All Blacks and New Zealand Rugby actually picking the right model of player in each position? I think for the forwards, they've mostly got it right. Yeah. I think for the backs, they need to have a good hard look.
With the backs, having scrum half, you can't really do much more. I think maybe next year, depending how he plays, you might see more and more people suggesting Dylan Pledger. Again, he's 19. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, let's calm down here, mate.
At 10, we already talked about that today.
Yep.
The wings, centres, fullback, again, just need to make sure, because we know who the locks are for some of those positions. Caleb Clark and Geordie Barrett, locked in. Yeah. Locked in 11 at 12. 13, 14, 15, maybe not so much 15, but 13 and 14, they're still wide open. You have Tupai leading the 13 charge. Yeah. Carter's been given the opportunities for 14, but I think that's a Caleb Tangito jersey sooner rather than later. Does he play against Wales? We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I know I've been telling you that, and you've been telling me, Simon, you're an idiot. But if he plays,
but I'm not telling you you're an idiot because I don't think he should have a chance of getting selected.
Because he won't.
I'm telling you you're an idiot because look at the freaking selections we've already been making. You think that's going to change in one game?
Well, against Wales, you know, I won't say the pressure's off.
Also, can I just say this? If we lose to Wales,
I think would have to be serious talks.
There'd be serious talks.
If we do lose to this Wales team, I don't even think like it's an overreaction if we go, okay, we actually need to have a fucking chat about this because it's the worst Welsh team we've probably ever seen. A team who scraped past Japan at home to win on the weekend. Yeah. Like, if we're losing to that Welsh team, even if it's a rotated team.
Can I make the argument then? Maybe we do need to lose to Wales.
To sacrifice.
I'm gonna put that. I'm not saying like there's not sacrifice. I mean, I get what you're saying, but do we need to do that to actually take a look and be like, man, what the frick are we doing?
It would lead to a drastic change.
Yep.
But there's always the chance that they get that change wrong. But I think Jamie Joseph will be there. Joe Schmidt is off contract. I don't know what Tony Brown's situation is, but if he's available to get. Offer him the fucking bag. Offer him every single thing he wants. You get Brown in, you get Schmidt in, you get Jamie Joseph in. Or you just try to get all three of them in for next year anyway. I think you need to do that. They all need to be in there. We did that heading into 2023. We brought Joe Schmidt in, and I think we brought someone else in. And
did we already have Jason Ryan by that point?
Jason Ryan was a Razor edition.
No, he wasn't.
He was.
Jason Ryan was there with John Schmidt in 2023.
Oh, well, yeah. But we need to make sure we're bringing in guys with international experience, like the coaches, because there's plenty of Kiwi coaches with it. Like your mate Vern and...
brother Vern.
Who's the Scottish guy at the Canes? Because he's...
Laidlaw.
Craig Laidlaw's had a heap of experience. Yeah. So much. And then, obviously the Chiefs guys off to Europe. What's his name?
Clayton McMillan, who's now coaching at Munster.
Clayton McMillan, but hey, in a couple of years...
But that's what I'm saying. He's going out to get the freaking international experience.
Exactly.
Which I've been saying the entire time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think the writing is there. The next coach hire for the All Blacks has to be someone with international experience.
Yep, big facts.
Jamie Joseph, Joe Schmidt, the other name, Tony Brown, although he's not really a head coach, but he's an attacking coach.
We need that right now.
Bloody good one. Yeah. We need to make sure all of our coaching appointments, because Jess Fraser had his great reputation to be signed, and I don't know if he actually meddled in the whole point with Foster and his job, but I look at the Foster reign and compare it to now, and I'm like, this is almost worse. Because I think we'd been promised a lot more under this, and we assumed, I think. We're like, we're not going to have these issues we had with Foster.
I think there were a lot of people that assumed that.
And I think a lot of people kind of just didn't take into account the disruptions with Foster's reign. You know, it was a COVID reign for 2 years.
Yes.
Where internationals didn't start until way later, and everything was still very much up in the air domestically. He had to deal with the players playing in a very slim competition for multiple years. And big clouds under the heads. Like, a lot of players would have had their development stunted in 2020 and 2021.
Yep.
And Fozzie dealt with that, got some coaching reinforcements, and took us to the World Cup final, where we were very close to...
We were within the freaking point.
We were in it.
And we had 2 penalties that if they went over, we probably would have won the freaking game.
Yeah. So, and we're not taking that away from South Africa. But
no, absolutely not now.
There was multiple chances that we could have taken that final. Does that change what happens now, though? No, because Foster was always going to leave because there was always that overarching, well, Razor's got this job in the bag. Maybe we should have really looked at the other options.
Yes.
Maybe we should have. And there's probably tons of other non-Kiwi international coaches who would also fit in well in an All Blacks environment. I can't really name many who I know would be.
And then we could, we'll probably have to end this because we already talked for almost 40 minutes on this shit.
Yeah.
But now, you could make the argument, is it Razor or is it the coaches he selected around him? Oh my God, we could have a conversation about that as well. For bloody hell.
Or is it just New Zealand Rugby's incompetence with developing the game here, right? Probably that too, but we don't have all day.
And then you could almost talk about and I hate putting it this way because I'm not going to just blame it on one thing, but not having those South African teams here anymore.
Yeah,
and those young guys. Not
I think that was always something
there.
that we just needed to take advantage of it when we had it, because logistically it made absolutely no sense for South Africa.
Yes,
and they had every single right to not be in that competition.
Yep.
And although they travel probably just as far to get to Europe, it does make sense time zone wise, and playing in that European club competition with the teams from England and France as well will do wonders for your domestic league.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting
Unfortunately,
next 2 years for the All Blacks.
We don't have any domestic leagues like that near us. Australia has never had a domestic league. Japan's league is not the strongest away from the international players. And apart from that, MLR in America has gone down to 6 teams for next year because all the teams are going bankrupt. We're in a geographical shit position.
Yeah.
South Africa, to their benefit, do happen to be in the same time zone as Europe and do happen to be a lot closer. And good on them for going there.
Yeah, they made that. Look, that's the thing. They saw what they had to do.
They made the best out of that
changes.
situation.
There you go, man.
They made the absolute best of a situation, which I think does get it still gets put out of context and tries to paint New Zealand and Australia as more of a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which it was clearly COVID. Like they didn't want to commit to anything with a pandemic. They didn't know when it was going to end. And there'd always been rumors South Africa was going to go to Europe. So
this Wales game is going to be the most interesting team selection of the year.
I would like
now
to
that
see,
we lost to England.
I'd like to see players. I want to see Ruben Love at 10. I want to see. I don't know who's going to play at fullback. I'm guessing it's going to be Damien, because who else on the team will play fullback? No one. Apart from Ruben Love.
Jordan there.
Apart from Ruben Love, I want to see maybe a couple of guys from the 15s team given a shot if they need to. I think Caleb Tangito is the number 1 contender there. Fucking give Dalton Papali'i a game. I don't care if I'm biased. I think he's like, he'd make so much more sense in that like loose forward pack than some of the guys they're naming. If I know he's taken out of his game, but if Josh Lord's healthy again, give him a run. Give Sam Derry a run.
Fabian Holland actually was at.
It's Fabian Holland.
Yeah, they went out sick. Give him a run, mate.
Holland and Derry together.
Or Holland and Lord together again. Have Derry off the
loose
bench,
forwards. You could. I'd say don't drop him completely, but have Artie come off the bench because he's been putting in 100%. Roy Guard might be injured, so you'd have Radimer or Hotham there. No, Hotham's not on the squad. Is it Christie?
No, I'm not even sure if it's Christie, mate. I'm not sure. I won't lie to you.
Who's our third scrum half?
Oh, no, it is Christie. Sorry, Christie is there. Christie is there.
Yeah, I don't know. Just maybe try and build a team which looks better, but with players who aren't as proven. So I know that's.
We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But there's plenty. I mean, there's plenty of other things to go through.
Absolutely.